Roto World headlines of the day, and we start with today's news.
Yes. We do have one quick positive, Commanders. It's all, the fact that it's going to be sold, super positive, right? The second piece is like, listen, they're committing to Sam Howell. They're committing to Sam Howell. The dreams of Lamar Jackson going away, but the fact is like, this is great. And my only request of Ron Rivera and the coaching staff and the entire organization here is give Sam the whole year, because one of two things happens. Either we discover over the course of a year, hey, the kid can play. We've got a franchise quarterback, and we've got him on a rookie deal, a cheap rookie deal, because he was, I believe, a fifth-round pick. Yeah. So we have him on a fifth-round rookie deal for the next 3 years after this season. Awesome. Amazing, right? So that will be huge. Or we discover that Sam Howell can't play, and that's okay. Still, give him the entire year. Do not bring in Jacoby Brissett, because Jacoby Brissett
will win you games.
I don't want to win any.
Yeah.
I either want to know
not
Sam
enough,
Howell,
but too many.
That's right. Jacoby Brissett is 7 or 8 wins, and that'll get us right around to pick 15 or 16, which is where we pick every single year. Yeah. And there'll be like, there's not like either we discover Sam Howell can be the guy, or if he's not, we need to be bad enough that we can draft the guy next year, because next year should be an amazing quarterback class as well.
It will be. Yeah, there are 3 guys at the top that'll be really good. So you want to be really bad, or you want to figure it out?
Yep.
No,
that's right.
You never want to tread water in the NFL.
This is correct. I like the fact that you looked directly at me when you said you never want to tread water. It is what it is at this point in my career. Connor, I am what I am. You know what? I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You're doing pretty good.
Jacoby Brissett.
I'm the Jacoby Brissett of fantasy analyst. I like that.
We need too many games.
I am.
Good last year.
I am.
You and Jacoby had a good year last year. Let me tell you. Underrated.
Yeah. Fair enough. I'm just right there.
So we go to today's news, and that is a recurring theme on this show.
Yes, sir.
It has to do with Trey Lance. And the latest is NFL Network's Ian Rappaport reports that the 49ers have fielded calls from teams interested in trading for Lance. He was very specific that it's not the Niners shopping Trey Lance, but they have fielded calls. Guys, when the Niners signed Sam Darnold this offseason, and we know how much they like Brock Purdy, obviously Brock Purdy's health pending, there was an interesting variable with Trey Lance of, is his future in San Francisco with, it feels like leaning no. This is the first signal to me that Trey Lance will not be on the 49ers next year.
I feel like that's got to be the way to go, right? Because it's almost, in a weird way, it's the reverse Garoppolo situation, right? Which is that when Garoppolo, they're like, they wanted to when we were talking about this a year ago, they wanted to get rid of Garoppolo. Now they ended up not being able to trade him, not being able to release him. They restructured his deal. He came back and accepted to being a backup, but they didn't want they wanted to give Trey Lance kind of a clean slate, so that there weren't people going like, why aren't we bringing Garoppolo if Trey Lance as a young player was struggling, because Garoppolo's had success with the team. And so the same thing here is that you don't want, if Brock Purdy, if the league catches up to him a little bit or whatever, if there's some stumbling blocks or he's not 100% healthy, whatever it is, bring in Trey Lance. Like if you're like, hey, we found something in Brock Purdy and we have a veteran presence in Sam Darnold, if he's not healthy or if he struggles, then it does feel like for the good of Lance and for the good of the organization, you kind of gotta, it's the old saying, if you got 2 quarterbacks, you got none, right? You got to plant your flag and say Brock's our guy at some point.
Yeah, it's a weird thing to say, but Sam Darnold's almost too good to be a third-string quarterback, so that always didn't really make sense. Like, Sam Darnold was okay in Carolina,
right?
And he is a backup quarterback, I think, at worst in the league. And then, secondly, the Trey Lance San Francisco era has just never made any sense from the start. I remember a week or so before the draft, Mac Jones was like minus 500 to get taken by the Niners with pick 3. And then I don't know what happened, because the whole thought was they were trading up to take Mac Jones. Mac Jones makes sense in the Shanahan system and everything like that. And then they just end up taking Trey Lance, and he plays a couple games, and now they're out on him. And it shakes up this draft as well.
Sure.
Because we're talking about Houston at 2, where it seems like the draft starts now, and everyone's thinking, is it Levis or is it Stroud? Is it Lance? D'Amico Ryan's going to take Trey Lance with him to Houston?
That's a great point. And I was just about to ask you, if Trey Lance were coming out this year, where does he rank? I think at worst he ranks 3rd, right behind Stroud and Young.
Exactly. He'd be in the Richardson bucket of all tools, has not played enough, you better have a developmental plan. And so when you look at it like that, and here's the thing, he's younger than Will Levis and Hendon Hooker, who are in the draft this year. Trey Lance is younger than those guys. So some teams might see him as a ball of clay and say, we get this guy and he stays healthy, we can mold him. and we're going to get him for pennies on the dollar.
Yep.
He's not going to. Trey Lance isn't getting a first-round pick back right now. Maybe he gets a 2. Maybe. I'm not even confident in that.
Wow.
So, I mean, there's value here for a team that is out that doesn't get a quarterback in this draft, bringing Trey Lance in. Maybe Tennessee, maybe Houston, because Houston is not guaranteed to take 1 at 2 anymore. We're far away from that right now. So the Trey Lance conversation is fascinating in this offseason.
It really is, and it feels like that's the right move for both Lance and the 49ers. And so, you wish the kid well, but like there's just no scenario. Here's the thing: they're not going to. They've gotten such a value out of Brock Purdy as a 7th round pick, as a day 3 pick, that they wouldn't be able to get any trade value for him. Like, his upside as a starter for the next 5 years or next 4 years on a day 3 contract is astronomical. So they wouldn't be able to get that back in a trade. No one's trading for Brock Purdy, and giving them what. So if somebody has to, and obviously Sam Darnold is whatever. So if they're going to get anything out of that quarterback room, it feels like it has to be Trey Lance.
Yep, and whatever they get for him as well, like they're a team that they can absolutely win the Super Bowl this year, clearly. And so if you're just having this glut of quarterbacks just doesn't help them win the Super Bowl this year, naturally. And so they get something for Trey Lance, draft another player who's going to help this year. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, they don't have a first-round pick. They don't have a second-round pick. They pick at the end of the 3rd round, I believe, 3 times of the last 4 picks in that 3rd round. But one quarterback situation that could not have gone more perfectly is the Philadelphia Eagles, and they reward Jalen Hurts with a massive 5-year, $255 million contract extension. I mean, people thought the Eagles were crazy when they took Jalen Hurts in the 2nd round when they had Carson Wentz, and they took him at pick 53, and here we are.
People thought I was crazy when at the Hall of Fame game in my first appearance at NBC, I said he could make a Josh Allen-like leap this year. People thought that was crazy. People thought even making my fantasy ride or die, and people were like, well, yes, the rushing, but this guy might lose his job because he's not a franchise quarterback. Why didn't the Eagles draft a quarterback? They had a high pick. Why are they just going with Jalen Hurts and all they have is Gardner Minshew backing him up? Howie Roseman is crazy. There were a lot of naysayers around Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. I was not one of them. As you see the numbers there, just how good he's been, how much he's improved. 2nd year in Sirianni's system, adding A.J. Brown, getting Devontae Smith for a 2nd season. It's an unbelievable offensive line as well. All those things help. And you know what I'm doing right now?
Oh, no.
Connor Rodgers. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's do that. Let's do
Excellent
that.
camera work.
You're damn right I'm victory lapping. You're damn right. People doubted Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts made me look smart.
Do you get a cut of the
Fly,
255?
Eagles, fly. I might. Yeah. Jalen, if you could loan me a couple of those bucks so I could weasel my way into the Commander's ownership group, that would be amazing.
How about a rival team here for Jalen Hurts?
Yeah, I think, it'll get a little bit glossed over because they lost the game, but Jalen Hurts in the Super Bowl was magnificent. He played Mahomes to a draw.
He really did. Like, the reason, people will talk about the 1 turnover, right? I mean,
bad.
and but I mean, on the biggest stage, first time he'd ever played in the Super Bowl, to your point, like
playing hurt as well. Playing hurt.
The reason the Eagles lost that game is not Jalen Hurts.
He was a 10.
He's the reason they had a chance at the end.
Yep.
Unbelievable. We have Jalen up here somewhere, right?
Right there.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, exactly. There he is. Right there, right. Yeah, it's a
Between
prime
Mahomes
spot
and
right
Kelsey.
behind me.
Yeah. Your vision's not as good as your running ability in circles. Yeah.
Fantastic. By the way,
Out of breath?
as bad as I looked running, I'm not out of breath.
You're out of
As
breath.
bad as I looked running, by the way, I still could take more of a hit than Bryce Young.
There you go.
Oh, boy, here.
Wow.
We made it back here.
Bryce Young, real punching bag on the show.
Listen, I'm just saying, like, again, I'm 6 foot 190-ish.
You got the black jacket.
Just
For a 6'2" last time you were comparing yourself to Bryce.
maybe I'm 200. I might be 200. It's been an off-season fried chicken. But
It's a regular season of fried chicken. And a postseason of fried chicken too.
I like some fried chicken. What are you going to say?
man.
And drinking. I've been drinking.
A lot of celebrating going on.
Oh, boy.
Commander's sale.
1,000%.
Jalen Hurts contract.
Jalen Hurts contract. I'm still employed.
Yes.
You're
It's
all
still on the
happening.
team.
I'm still on the team.
Yeah.
It's all happening.
He's still on the team.
It's
Him and
all
Joe Mixon
happening.
still on the team. I'll tell you who's not on the team that he wants to play for, and that's Aaron Rodgers right now. Adam Schefter saying it doesn't sound like, that's an interesting way to frame it. It doesn't sound like Aaron Rodgers will be traded to the Jets before the NFL draft.
Your Jets.
My Jets.
Yeah, our Jets. What's going on here, Connor? Is he going to be on the Jets eventually? It just still seems like this is a formality, and it's just whatever. They're just badgering over compensation, but it's surely going to get done, right?
Yeah, this feels kind of like a signal to a certain side of saying, hey, we're really not going to move him unless you beef up the offer. And I think for Green Bay, I just don't understand how Green Bay goes into this draft without one of those top 50 picks from the Jets to help out Jordan Love. That doesn't make sense to me.
That's the weird part about the report is that, like, so if you're the Jets, what do you do going into the draft? You're like, okay, well, I guess we have to sort of assume that at the
they're operating that they're making all three of those picks. When you look at the visits they've had, the way but
they might be also going through the motions, whatever.
You have to
call their are the
Yes.
Packers bluffing, we're bluffing, like that kind of stuff. But like at the moment, if the season started today, the starting quarterback of the Jets is Zach Wilson.
don't rule out Tim Boyle.
Okay.
I'm going to rule out Tim Boyle. Ruled him out. Just put a line through. Write Tim Boyle's name.
Cross it out.
Yeah.
and then you're
Gonna put
ruling
a
him out.
line
You're
through
officially
Tim Boyle.
ruling him
Yeah, I
out.
just wrote his name and crossed it out.
There you go.
Bye, Tim.
Fantastic.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's what they got.
But
So,
what are the first three picks that the Jets have?
13, 42, 43.
They call San Francisco and say, take pick 43 for Trey Lance?
That would be. And Zach Wilson has to go back in that deal. You can't have Trey Lance and
you
Zach
keep
Wilson
that.
on the same
Fair enough,
roster.
fair
But,
enough.
But
Picks 2 and 3 in the draft. Back to back.
then you roll in with Trey Lance in a win or get fired year.
I mean, right? I don't know. Like,
Easier to cheer
I
for.
don't think that happens, but
No.
I'm just saying, like, I don't know.
What are the options for both of these sides?
Right.
Nobody can take on the Aaron Rodgers money,
Right.
and the Jets need a quarterback.
And by the way,
Here we
Aaron
are.
Rodgers has said publicly, he was on the
Yes.
Pat McAfee show saying, I want to play for the Jets. I've chosen to play for the Jets. I've come out of the darkness, and I'm a Jets guy now.
Yeah.
And so,
It's like Jay Croucher.
just like Jay Croucher. Jay Croucher
Came out
spent
of
4
the
days
darkness.
in the darkness.
And Sauce Gardner, Defensive Rookie of the Year, campaigning on Twitter every week. Yes.
And now the Jets man.
What would you rather do? What would you rather do if I said next week you have to do one of two things?
Yeah.
4 days in the darkness, like Aaron Rodgers did on the darkness retreat, or another cross-country flight with your children.
Well, yeah, I was going to say that's the darkness retreat.
It
That's
has
not
to be.
close. Yeah, it's not close.
Much
I was
more
praying
internal
for 4
peace.
hours. I was praying for 4 days in the darkness on that flight from Denver to LaGuardia. Absolutely praying for it. Now, with Rodgers, I do think if there was ever a candidate in human history to turn this into a soap opera and abandon the Jets and end up on like the Ravens or something weird, it would be Aaron Rodgers. Let me tell
Absolutely.
you.
He's got it in him.
Yeah.
He's got it in him. But I still think this gets done the week
will
of the
get
draft.
done.
I think Green Bay needs an asset in this draft.
I mean, listen, Schefter's really plugged in,
Sure.
but yeah, it does. It just feels weird that it won't happen before the draft because I feel like both teams need to know what assets they have going into this draft, right? I mean, what they don't and they don't have. Like again, you can't unless the Packers call and say pick this guy for us. I don't.
Yeah, and that's just not a precedent
Right.
in the NFL. Like
Right.
It doesn't work like that.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying.
Happens in
Like,
the NBA, but it
lot.
doesn't happen in the NFL.
Yeah, it would be a new turning point in NFL draft history for.
And the other thing is as we just sort of talked about the locker room with Lance and Garoppolo and Brock Purdy and the whole thing. Like at some point you need to just basically like, yo, Jordan Love, this is your team.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like he can't. And I'm sure Jordan Love is preparing as if he's going to start the season and is trying to. But there's just something about as long as the guy's locker is still there, right? As long as you're going to camp and if you show up at Lambeau and there's a reporter going like, hey, have you heard anything new about 12? Like, I don't know. Like
I
you
wouldn't put
want
past
your
Rodgers
guy.
to
You
show
want your
up.
guy to be the guy. You want your guy to be the guy. You
Yep.
know what I mean? If you're the Packers, you need to empower Jordan Love to be like, hey, we used an early pick on you. We need to see what we have. We need to give you a chance to really be the guy for us moving forward here.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBC Sports and RotoWorld.com. Just want to thank you so much for watching what you just watched, or at least being too lazy to click out of it after the autoplay just kept it going. So either way, thank you so much for just letting it scroll by your screen. And now I'd like to ask you respectfully, okay? Respectfully, please subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel for the latest NFL news, fantasy headlines from RotoWorld, and betting analysis from NBC Sports Edge.